You know, we have a phrase over here. I don't know if it's a universal phrase, chums, but you know the sort of thing when you have a friend and, they're married or they've been married a long time, that sort of stuff. And you hear that phrase, don't you? You know, somebody will just say, well, he's henpecked, don't you? And henpecked, as we know, is sort of the thing where the wife always gets her own way. It doesn't matter what you say, what you do, eventually you have to crumble. I think it was best illustrated in that brilliant British sitcom, George and Mildred, starring Brian Murphy and Eutha Joyce. It really played very well on the fact that there he was, of course, he couldn't get his own way, and George was always, well, under the thumb. Some people might absolutely look at this particular picture setup and say, this is now getting worse, even for the former royal known as, of course, the Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry. As ever, let me explain. Morning, chums. Nice to see you. Thank you so much for taking the time out to join me today, and welcome one and all brand new subscribers. It is lovely to have your company. It's an interesting thing, isn't it, with these sort of stories, because as we all know, what starts out as the rainbow love and all that sort of stuff, very, very happy, clappy, it's all going to be wonderful. But if we could only see into the future, perhaps sometimes you wouldn't go down a particular path. And this could be the said same thing, of course, for the former royal. Now, as Harry's always been forced to admit on anything where he's been recorded, filmed or interviewed, he loves this, this is the best life, etc. Only recently has he been contradictory by basically saying, things like, I'd very much like to come back to England. I'd very much like my family to see where I grew up, because now the gloss has gone off the where he's living. Yes, it's wonderful, weather, and it's a wonderful lifestyle. He's got this magnificent house, but reality has truly kicked in. You've got bills to pay. How are you going to make some money? The way that you thought you could make money is slowly ebbing away. With your elder brother soon to take control of everything, where will that leave you? Well, I would surmise that Harry would always be looked after in one way or another. Perhaps, as we're seeing played out with the Duke and Duchess of York, perhaps not in the lifestyle that Markle would want to be. You see, this is the problem. Now, the bigger problem for Harry is this. As I pointed out in a recent video, you can see behind the scenes that this Halloween affair, which is diabolical really, in the sense of that, they talk about wanting privacy and all of this sort of stuff. Meanwhile, at the very same time, waving flags saying, look at us, we're so happy, here are our children. And once again, behind the scenes conflict really erupted, I can tell you, because Harry just doesn't want the children being put in front of the camera. And as these people have been very clever to do, is slow down frame by frame, and you can see the pictures. The thing you can't see, which is very clever, is that Meghan and her team are continually changing their hair colour through filters and through colour graph to make sure that you don't get to see that, whatever real colour Archie's hair is, or indeed Lily's hair. And this is because apparently they don't want these people picked out in school. Ridiculous. Somebody's going to recognise these two children if they actually went on the school run. You get the picture. Moving forward though, this is just the plan, the marketing plan, I've been told, for Meghan and her team, because she thinks and she utterly believes that the real interest factor in her is the children, and the fact that they've both got titles, something that she really heartily pushed for. And so consequently, by pushing for the titles, she now has something that she believes that we are going to want to look at eventually, the big reveal. But Meghan's not very bright, as I've said. She's given a lot of content away for free on Instagram. And she may think that this will result in something, but really it's still the old-fashioned magazine spread, a beautiful picture that Catherine, say, gives away to the media, ensures the front page, taken normally by herself. Exquisite, and we get to see the family developing and growing over the years. Meghan apparently wants to replicate that. Part of the problem, though, is this man. I mentioned him before, Marcus Anderson, the BFF, the best friend and very safe best friend of Meghan Markle, who's been on the scene for many, many years, apparently instrumental in putting these two together. However, Harry felt very, very upset recently at the Halloween affair, simply because this was meant to be a family event. And suddenly, Harry doesn't mind, of course, the mother-in-law there, Doria. I mean, that's the granny and that's the deal. deal. And Meghan was very keen to shove the mother picture back into the equation because everybody's been saying, where is Doria? Well, Doria's been busy hanging around with Oprah Winfrey. And more of that later. That's going to be intriguing, let me tell you. And also what's happening on the other side of the coin is that, well, Harry wanted to invite certain people to this Halloween event, including this man. That's right, Tyler Perry. Now, this would make perfect sense if you think about it, right? Because let's not forget, he is the godfather of Lily. And consequently, very much went on the documentary, pointed out he was very happy that he could, and would be happy to take that role if he didn't have to go to Windsor and if he didn't have to get dressed up and all of that sort of stuff. So they went along with it. Basically, according to insiders, when they realised that they couldn't get the christening that they wished for inside St George's Chapel in Windsor, they wanted to replicate the same thing, and apparently there were problems, and not the problems that you and I think we know about. Legally, I can't tell you what those problems were right now, but there were bigger problems behind the scenes. It's never easy dealing with Markle again, allegedly, right? Now, what was interesting here was that Harry felt, in a show of unity, that Tyler Perry should be invited. There it is, he is a genuinely now attachment to this family. And if you think about it, the ever-equation mood that's going on, you would have thought he might have been invited. What is interesting was he wasn't. Harry wanted to, but apparently was advised. Now, we know why he was advised, simply because, of course, of the ongoing court battles that Tyler Perry currently has, of which he refutes all claims. So Harry was once again stuck with the BFF, the third wheel in the marriage, and as you can see, this is becoming, well, rather monotonous. Now, I'm not suggesting for one moment that Harry and Marcus don't get on, but a source who used to work for them said that Harry very much keeps his distance and, of course, is very, very careful to not say too much because in the fullness of time, even he's waking up to the fact that something may come out that perhaps he didn't want to. And on top of all of that, and this is the other important piece to remember, Harry apparently would really just like to keep it to family time, not be publicised on social media, and of course not to be trailing along people that aren't exactly family. He feels sorry for Tyler Perry because, of what's gone on, and consequently wanted to invite him. Guess who? Well, guess which two people suggested no? As ever, it's a developing story. When I know more, you'll know more. Neil Shawn, Kensington, London.